Hi there, this is Stargazer, and today I'm ranking my top 10 heroes from the Scream film franchise. Number 10, Mindy Meeks Martin. Oh, Mindy Meeks Martin rules, actually. She's one of the best things the newer Scream movies gave us, and here's why she's awesome in a very Scream-specific way. She's the franchise's meta-brain evolved. Randy Meeks walked so Mindy could sprint. Mindy doesn't just know horror rules, she knows franchise logic, requels, legacy character patterns, fan backlash, and studio behavior. She understands that being self-aware doesn't make you safe anymore, which is a smart evolution of what Scream has always been about. She's brutally honest and doesn't soften it. Mindy says the thing everyone else is afraid to say. She clocks red flags early, calls out suspicious behavior without tiptoeing around feelings, and treats survival like a logic problem, not a moral one. That bluntness makes her funny, but it also makes her feel real, like someone who spent way too much time online dissecting horror and culture. She represents the modern fandom, lovingly and critically. Mindy is the person who loves horror deeply but also hates toxic fans, gatekeeping, and nostalgia obsession. Her commentary on elevated horror, requels, and legacy characters isn't just jokes. It's the movies talking directly to the audience through her. She's basically a walking thesis statement for the newer films. She's queer without it being her entire personality. Mindy being openly queer is handled casually and confidently, which fits the franchise's ethos. It's not tragic, not a punchline, not a big statement, she just is. That normalcy matters, especially in a genre that hasn't always treated queer characters kindly. She survives while staying herself. A lot of horror characters earn survival by becoming quieter, nicer, or more cautious. Mindy doesn't. She stays sharp, sarcastic, a little messy, and unapologetically herself, and still makes it through. That feels earned, not lucky. She carries Randy's legacy without copying him. She honors her uncle without being a carbon copy. Randy was enthusiastic and earnest. Mindy is sharper and more cynical. That contrast shows how horror and audiences have changed, while still keeping the heart of what made Randy iconic. She's funny in a way that cuts. Her humor isn't just jokes, it's diagnosis. When Mindy talks, you feel like she's 10 steps ahead of everyone else. And half the tension comes from wondering whether she's right, or whether knowing the rules still won't save her. Basically, Mindy Meeks Martin is awesome because she is modern Scream. She's smart, self-aware, socially plugged in, skeptical of nostalgia, and still deeply in love with horror, just like the franchise itself. Number 9, Cotton Weary. Cotton Weary is awesome because he's one of the messiest, most human, and most tragically Scream-coded characters in the whole franchise, and that's exactly why he works so well. He embodies the franchise's obsession with media and spectacle. Cotton isn't just a suspect or a survivor, he's a media product. From the moment he's introduced, his life is shaped by talk shows, news cycles, and public opinion. Scream isn't just about killers, it's about how violence gets packaged, sold, and consumed. Cotton is the clearest example of that theme made flesh. He's a victim who doesn't become a saint. Wrongfully imprisoned for over a year, Cotton absolutely deserves justice, but he's also arrogant, bitter, vain, and fame-hungry. Scream refuses to turn him into a noble martyr, and that honestly is refreshing. Trauma doesn't make him morally pure, it makes him complicated. That's very on-brand for the series. He's crucial to Sydney's arc, even when he's antagonistic. Cotton is living proof of what Sydney could become if she let the public narrative define her. Their tension is uncomfortable because it's understandable on both sides. He wants recognition and vindication. She wants privacy and peace. That friction deepens Sydney's story rather than distracting from it. His survival of Scream 2 is earned and subversive. Cotton saving Sydney and killing Mrs. Loomis flips expectations. He's the obvious dangerous guy who turns out to be genuinely heroic in the moment that matters most. It's a perfect Scream twist. The man the audience is trained to distrust makes the right choice. His post-exoneration fame is darkly hilarious. By Scream 3, Cotton hosting 100% Cotton is peak satire. It's funny, sad, and unsettling all at once. Someone turning their brush with violence into entertainment because that's the only language the culture seems to reward. It's Scream roasting true crime celebrity culture before it's fully exploded. His death is shocking precisely because it's mundane. Cotton dies early, brutally, and without fanfare. No heroic speech, no final revelation. That's the point. His murder underlines one of the franchise's coldest truth. Fame doesn't protect you. Redemption doesn't grant plot armor, and survival in this world is never guaranteed. He's a warning, not a power fantasy. Cotton shows what happens when trauma, ego, and media attention fuse together. He's not meant to be aspirational. He's meant to be revealing, and that makes him one of the smartest characters the franchise ever created. Cotton Weary is awesome because he's uncomfortable, tragic, and painfully relevant. He isn't just part of the body count. He's part of what Scream is actually saying about violence, celebrities, and who gets believed. Number 8. Randy Meeks. Randy Meeks is awesome because he's the soul of Scream. Not just the comic relief, not just the rules guy. He's the character who explains what kind of movie you're watching, while making you love horror even more. He turns horror knowledge into survival language. Randy knows horror trivia to feel smart. He knows it to stay alive. He turns horror knowledge into a survival language. Randy doesn't know horror trivia to feel smart. He knows it to stay alive. His rules aren't jokes. They're desperate attempts to impose order on chaos. When he's yelling at the screen during Halloween, it's funny, sure, but it's also tragic because he's trying to warn everyone and himself in the only way he knows how. He's the audience, but braver. Randy says what viewers are thinking, but he also steps into the story. He investigates, confronts suspects, and puts himself in danger instead of staying safely meta. That blend of self-awareness and genuine fear is what makes him more than a gimmick. He loves horror sincerely. Randy isn't ironic about movies, he adores them. His enthusiasm feels like a love letter to genre fans, especially the ones who grew up memorizing VHS tapes and arguing over sequels. That sincerity is why the humor never feels mean-spirited. He understands that rules don't guarantee safety. By Scream 2, Randy knows the rules change, and he still doesn't get plot armor. His death is devastating precisely because he did everything right. It's the franchise reminding us that knowledge isn't immunity, and that's one of Scream's boldest moves. His death changes the franchise forever. Killing Randy was a statement. No one is safe, not even the guy who understands the movie. From that moment on, the series loses its safety net and gains real stakes. His absence is felt in every sequel. His legacy shapes multiple generations, from his videotaped rules for trilogies to Mindy inheriting his role in the modern films. Randy becomes a mythic presence. He's proof that ideas and warnings can outlive the person who said them. He's vulnerable, awkward, and deeply human. Randy isn't cool, he's not smooth, he's awkward with Sydney, anxious under pressure, and visibly terrified when things get real. That vulnerability makes him relatable and heroic in a quiet, deeply human way. Randy Meeks is awesome because he made horror self-aware without killing its heart. He taught audiences how to watch these movies, and then paid the ultimate price for knowing too much. Number 7. Tatum Riley. Tatum Riley is awesome because she's the beating heart of the original Scream. Funny, fearless, loyal, and tragically ahead of her time. She's the character who proves that being smart and strong doesn't guarantee survival in a horror movie, and that's exactly why she endures. She's a subversion of the dumb best friend trope. Tatum is sharp, sarcastic, and emotionally intelligent. She clocks weird behavior instantly, calls out nonsense, and refuses to play helpless. She isn't reckless because she's stupid. She's confident because she's capable. She's fiercely loyal to Sydney. Tatum is the kind of friend who shows up. She defends Sydney, protects her space, and never treats her trauma like gossip. Their friendship feels lived in and real, grounding the movie in genuine emotional stakes. She refuses to be intimidated by Ghostface. That garage scene is iconic because Tatum doesn't freeze or beg, she fights. She insults him, hits him, and tries to escape using logic and physicality. Her death hurts because she does everything right and still loses. She embodies 90s confidence and agency. Tatum is bold, sexual without being punished for its moralizing way, and completely unapologetic about who she is. She feels modern, even now, because she isn't written to be taught a lesson. Her death sets the emotional tone for the franchise. Once Tatum dies, the movie changes. The fun gives way to dread. Losing her tells the audience and Sydney that this isn't a game anymore. It's the moment Scream proves it has teeth. She's remembered and not forgotten. Even though she only appears in one film, her absence echoes through the series, especially through Dewey. That lingering impact is the mark of a great character, not just a shocking kill. She represents the tragedy of horror. Tatum's fate isn't about punishment or failure, it's about randomness. Sometimes the strongest, smartest person still doesn't make it. That truth is what makes Scream hit harder than most slashers. Tatum Riley is awesome because she's brave, loving, and real, and because the movie dares to take someone that good away. She's not just a victim, she's a standard. Number 6, Tara Carpenter. Tara Carpenter is awesome because she's the emotional core of the newer Scream era, and one of the most resilient characters the franchise has put through hell. She survives what should have killed her. That opening in Scream 2022 is brutal even by Scream standards. Tara is stabbed repeatedly, terrorized, toyed with, and she lives. Not because of luck, but because she fights, thinks, adapts, and refuses to give up. From the jump, the movie tells us this girl is tougher than she looks. She's vulnerability without weakness. Tara is anxious, traumatized, physically injured, and emotionally overwhelmed. But she's never framed as fragile or useless. Her fear feels honest, not performative. She shows how trauma lingers without defining her entire identity. Her bond with Sam gives the franchise a new emotional engine. Scream has always been about family, but Tara and Sam bring a raw, modern intimacy to it. Tara grounds Sam, challenges her, and calls out her bullshit when needed. Their relationship is messy, loving, and painfully real, and Tara is the moral center of it. She fights back in smart, desperate ways. Whether it's using her environment, exploiting Ghostface's mistakes, or pushing through injuries that would sideline most characters, Tara is scrappy in a way that feels believable. She doesn't turn into an action hero, she survives like a real person would. She refuses to be reduced to the victim. By Scream 6, Tara isn't just surviving attacks, she's actively confronting fear, setting boundaries, and deciding how much control Ghostface gets over her life. Her arc is about reclaiming agency, not just staying alive. She brings emotional authenticity to the kills and quips. In a franchise full of meta commentary and sharp humor, Tara adds sincerity. Her reactions remind us why violence matters. Without her, the movies risk becoming clever exercises. With her, they stay human. She represents a new kind of final girl energy. Tara isn't stoic like Sydney or hyper-analytical like Randy's successors. She's emotional, anxious, loving, and still incredibly brave. She shows that strength doesn't mean being unafraid. It means acting despite fear. Tara Carpenter is awesome because she proves Scream can still hurt, still scare, and still care. She's not just surviving the rules of horror, she's rewriting what strength looks like in a slasher franchise. Number 5, Kirby Reed. Kirby Reed is awesome because she's the perfect bridge between classic Scream energy and modern genre-savvy chaos. Smart, funny, deeply likable, and stubbornly hard to kill. She's a horror nerd who actually applies the knowledge. Kirby doesn't just quote movies, she uses them. That scene where she rattles off horror remakes to survive, it's iconic because it shows her thinking under pressure, turning fandom into a literal lifeline. She survives by intelligence, not dumb luck. Kirby is alert, curious, and constantly clocking what doesn't add up. Even when she makes mistakes, they feel human rather than scripted. Her survival feels earned, not accidental. She's funny without undercutting the danger. Kirby's humor is fast and sharp, but it never dissolves tension. She keeps the tone buoyant while the movie stays scary, a tricky balance that Scream 4 nails largely because of her. Her death is one of the franchise's smartest fake-outs. Leaving Kirby's fate ambiguous was a bold move that kept fans talking for years. The reveal that she survived makes sense thematically. Scream rewards those who truly understand the genre. Her return in Scream 6 feels earned, not nostalgic. Kirby doesn't come back as a gimmick, she comes back changed. Trauma hardened her, sharpened her instinct, and pushed her into law enforcement. She's not stuck in the past, she's evolved. She represents survival without becoming jaded. Even as an FBI agent, Kirby keeps her warmth, humor, and love of movies. She doesn't lose herself to the violence she's lived through, which makes her arc quietly inspiring. She proves fandom doesn't have to be toxic. Kirby loves horror passionately, but she doesn't weaponize it or romanticize the killers. She's a fan who understands the line between admiration and obsession, something Scream constantly interrogates. Kirby Reed is awesome because she shows that being smart, kind, and genre-aware doesn't make you cynical, it makes you resilient. She's proved that surviving Scream isn't just about knowing the rules, it's about knowing why they exist. Number 4, Sam Carpenter. Sam Carpenter is awesome because she's the boldest swing the Scream franchise has ever taken with a lead character, and it works. She's messy, haunted, protective, and terrifying in ways that feel deliberately uncomfortable, which is exactly why she's compelling. She embodies the franchise's darkest question: what if the final girl could become the monster? Sam isn't just chased by Ghostface, she's psychologically entangled with the legacy of one. Making Billy Loomis her father externalizes a fear that always lived in Scream, that violence isn't just random, it's inherited, internalized, and tempting. She's protective in a way that feels primal. Sam's defining trait isn't cleverness or charm, it's devotion. Everything she does is in service of keeping terror alive. That intensity gives her a moral compass even when her methods get brutal. She's not fighting for fame, rules, or legacy. She's fighting for family. She's allowed to be unlikable, and that's brave writing. Sam is guarded, blunt, socially awkward, and sometimes emotionally cold. Scream lets her exist without standing down those edges for audience approval. In a genre that often rewards likability, Sam is rewarded for honesty. She doesn't just survive, she ends threats decisively. Sam's kills are ferocious, efficient, and personal. When she chooses violence, it's not accidental or hesitant. That intensity flips the power dynamic and makes Ghostface afraid of her, which is a rare and thrilling reversal for the series. Her mental health struggles are treated as part of the story, not a gimmick. Hallucinations, medication, intrusive thoughts, Sam's mind is a battlefield, and the films don't magically cure her. Instead, they show her learning how to live alongside that darkness without letting it dictate her choices. She challenges the franchise's obsession with legacy. Sam is literally tied to the past, yet she rejects nostalgia as destiny. She refuses to let Billy define her, refuses to let fame rewrite her, and ultimately chooses her own moral line, even when it scares her. She evolves without losing her edge. By Scream 6, Sam is more confident, more controlled, but no less dangerous. Her arc isn't about becoming normal, it's about becoming self-directed. Sam Carpenter is awesome because she turns the final girl archetype inside out. She isn't pure, she isn't comforting, and she isn't safe, and that's the point. She proves Scream can still take risks, still unsettle, and still say something new about violence, identity, and choice. Number 3, Dewey Riley. Dewey Riley is awesome because he's the emotional glue of the Scream franchise. The guy who shouldn't survive, shouldn't keep going, and yet does. Over and over purely because he cares. He's bravery without bravado. Dewey isn't fearless, he's awkward, nervous, and often clearly out of his depth, but he shows up anyway. That kind of courage hits harder than action hero confidence, because it's rooted in choice, not ego. He survives through persistence, not dominance. Dewey gets stabbed in almost every movie, and instead of turning him into a joke, the films turn it into a quiet testament to endurance. He keeps standing back up. That resilience becomes part of the franchise's DNA. His kindness never curdles into cynicism. In a world full of killers, liars, and opportunists, Dewey remains gentle. He believes people, gives second chances, and tries to do the right thing even when it costs him personally. That softness is radical in a slasher series. His relationship with Gale is one of horror's best slow burns. Dewey and Gale evolve from awkward allies to soulmates through shared trauma, arguments, breakups, and reunions. Their love story feels earned because it's imperfect, and because Dewey never stops seeing the good in her, even when she can't see it herself. He represents the cost of survival. By Scream 2022, Dewey is tired, lonely, and carrying decades of scars, physical and emotional. His arc shows that surviving horror doesn't mean winning, it means living with what it took from you. His final stand is deeply in character. Dewey doesn't die because he's careless. He dies because he goes back to make sure the job is done. That moment isn't stupidity, it's responsibility. He knows the rules and he chooses to protect others anyway. He makes the violence matter. Dewey's presence grounds the series emotionally. When he's hurt, it hurts us. When he's gone, the franchise feels the loss, and so do the characters. Dewey Riley is awesome because he proves you don't need to be the smartest, strongest, or most meta person in the room to be a hero. You just need to keep choosing to help, even when it hurts. Number 2, Gale Weathers. Gale Weathers is awesome because she's the sharpest knife in the Scream drawer. Ambitious, ruthless, brilliant, and impossibly alive. She doesn't just survive the franchise, she defines its voice. She's unapologetically driven. Gale wants the story, the truth, and the byline. She never pretends otherwise. Scream refuses to punish her ambition the way horror so often punishes outspoken women. Instead, it lets her be ruthless and right. She's the franchise's moral wild card. Gale isn't clean. She exploits tragedy, crosses lines, and justifies it with results. That moral tension is the point. She forces the audience to confront uncomfortable questions about ethics, media, and who controls the narrative. She evolves without losing her edge. Across the films, Gale grows more compassionate and self-aware, but she never becomes soft. Even when she regrets her past choices, she doesn't erase them. Growth for Gale means refinement, not reinvention. Her dynamic with Dewey humanizes her. Dewey doesn't fix Gale, but he reveals her capacity for love. Their relationship shows us who Gale is when the cameras are off, adding emotional depth without undermining her independence. She's fearless in the face of killers and editors. Gale runs towards danger with a mic and a camera, not a gun. She confronts Ghostface, infiltrates crime scenes, and exposes lies because she believes information is power and she knows how to wield it. She's constantly reinventing her image and owning it. From the iconic bangs to the shifting personas, Gale understands that presentation matters. Instead of pretending that doesn't matter, she weaponizes it. She's punished emotionally, not narratively. The franchise lets Gale live, but it never lets her forget the cost of her choices. That balance, consequence without moral condemnation, is rare and smart. Gale Weathers is awesome because she refuses to be liked when being effective matters more. She's messy, brilliant, and vital. The character who proves Scream isn't just about killers, but about who gets to tell the story after the blood dries. Number 1, Sidney Prescott. Sidney Prescott is awesome because she's the gold standard of final girls. The one who didn't just survive horror, but outgrew it without losing herself. She isn't iconic by accident. She's earned every bit of that status. She survives without becoming hardened or cruel. Sidney endures unimaginable trauma, yet she never loses her empathy. She doesn't turn into a killing machine or a cynical recluse. She learns boundaries, self-trust, and restraint. Her strength is emotional as much as physical. She adapts as the rules change. Every time the genre evolves, Sidney evolves with it. From naive teen to wary survivor to self-possessed adult. She reads the room and adjusts without surrendering who she is. That adaptability is why she keeps living. She refuses to be defined by men's violence. Sidney consistently rejects the narratives others try to force onto her, whether it's being Billy's girlfriend, a tabloid story, a symbol, or a victim. Her arc is about reclaiming authorship over her life. She fights back intelligently and decisively. Sidney isn't reckless, but she's never passive. When it's time to act, she does, using strategy, environment, and timing rather than brute force. Her victories feel earned because they come from learning, not luck. She's emotionally honest. Sidney is allowed to grieve, to be angry, to be afraid, and to heal. The films don't rush her recovery or romanticize her pain. That honesty is why audiences connect to her across decades. She inspires loyalty without demanding it. People protect Sidney because she's worth protecting, not because she's perfect, but because she's genuine. Her relationships with Tatum, Dewey, and Gale feel reciprocal and earned. She exits the spotlight on her own terms. Sidney's greatest power might be knowing when to walk away. She doesn't need to prove anything. Survival for her isn't about winning, it's about living well. Sidney Prescott is awesome because she proves that resilience doesn't require losing your humanity. She doesn't conquer horror by becoming something else. She conquers it by staying herself. Thank you for watching, and remember, it's always somebody you know.